Hello fans, Sarcastic Dragonite here. Just before I went to work today, I finished Pokemon White 2. Let me put my bag here. I'm completely unprepared. I just got back from work and I want to get this done. White 2, right here. That's it. I want to get this done because I just threw it. I have this little thing here. It's called the DQ chicken strip basket. Get some of that nice chicken. Get that nice chicken in there, see? Gotta get me one of them fries. Oh, these are old. Somebody has a bread. Okay, you know what I mean. Anyways, White 2 is the one I got. I got the continuation of White. Some people call me racist for getting White. You're racist for getting black. You're racist for assuming you're getting black. Problems with it. Other things with it. We're going to discuss, so why don't you sit on back, get yourself some chocolate milk. I had some yesterday, as you can tell from my, strap yourself in, we're going for a ride. One of the first characters you meet in the game, is your rival Hugh. Now Hugh is this guy with his blue hair, and he's supposed to be your rival. He's supposed to be this kind of return to the rivals that they kind of haven't done for a while. They haven't done it in a while because in Black and White you had your two friends, your best friends, Sharon and Bianca, and then in Platinum you had, I forgot what that guy's name was, but he wasn't really a true rival in the sense. And I heard that they tried to return to this true rival idea with Black and White 2, but they didn't, in my opinion. The whole time Hugh was not really this competitive force. He was just kind of this guy that you're with, and he's always praising you, is what I didn't like. He always praises you. He always tells you how great you are. And your last battle with him afterwards, there's no bitterness, there's none of that. He is more set on this, oh, good job, you're going to be the champion, you're the strongest in Unova, go beat the Elite Four. And I didn't like that at all. He wasn't a rival. He keeps saying he's going to unleash his rage, and then he'd do things with Samurott, like, not really out attack. I mean, it knew Ice Beam and that kind of thing. But I don't know what it was with him. I just didn't see him as a true rival. And I don't like how Hugh turned out one bit. That's just my opinion. I don't like how Hugh turned out. It was one of the more disappointing things because I wanted a rival, and I didn't get one. One of the better parts of the game was that you could get different Pokemon early on, and that was amazing. That early on, before the first gym, I was able to catch a Mareep, which I would eventually ditch for, Electrokid, but Riolu. Riolu was probably, I'm going to say this later in the video when I talk about the Elite Four, probably my Elite Four MVP. He really was. He came through in the clutch. He was my dragon counter, and he worked so well at it, even though most dragons in the game had ground capabilities. And it really was totally fine because he has enough special defense to get past that Earthquake or that Bulldoze. Well, you need defense or Bulldoze, but Pokemon selection early on really made the game what it was. And it was, you could pick your guys, pretty far. Whereas with Black and White, you spent the first, how long would it be? You spent the first maybe 3 hours with your starter, and then a Lillipup and a Pidove and a Patrat and a, not Woobat, but whatever the other guy was. But that's what kind of made Black and White such a disappointment, was that early on you could hardly get anything, and later in the game you had to go find them. I really want a Reuniclus. I actually caught a Duosis, but had to ditch him because his move pool was so poor early on, and it really didn't work well for me and my team. I would have loved to have a Psychic on my team. It just, Duosis didn't work for me, just specifically because his only attack move was Hidden Power, and then he had Light Screen, and then this just other crap moves. But I really wanted a Reuniclus in Black and White because I have this hollow card and I just didn't have one. My dinner box. My dog is kind of eyeing. I'll give her a fry. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on over here. Come on. Come get it. Come get it. Come get it. Oh, you're a good girl. You go love that fry. Okay, back to Reuniclus. Reuniclus was a psychic type I was very excited about. I thought it was a cool type. No, you're not getting any more fries. I thought it was a cool looking Pokemon, and I needed a psychic type, but you couldn't get Reuniclus that early on, and I eventually never got him. And then I got to a point where I was looking. I hadn't completed my decks later in the game in Black and White, and I was like, why? When was Heatmore? When was Durant? When was all these other Pokemon that I had heard about and would like to possibly train and try? Where was Larvesta for Volcanrona? Where were all these Pokemon that, that were added to the game that were supposed to make it cooler to play? And I didn't see any of it. Get down. And I didn't see any of it. I spent the first 3 gyms with crappy Pokemon, and it was really a disappointment. The first kind of different Pokemon there was when I got to the desert and you could pick up Darumaka, and that's when the game really started to get a little bit more in-depth with its types. I still think that so far both Unova games have had very poor water types, and you pretty much have to pick Oshawott if you want a water type early on. My water type ended up being Ludicolo, which I had to trade from Pokemon White 1. And that's just simply because I didn't like any of the water types. I didn't know where to find Wailmer in White 2, and I certainly wasn't going to pick up Ducklet, because I don't like Swanna one bit. I still think that that's the one problem with their Unova Pokédex, is that it is very weak with water types, and this is something that we don't see very often. Usually we see a nice depth at water with, like, just taking Red and Blue, for example. You had, like, Seaking and Stormy and Lapras. That's more later on, but Lapras. You had these choices you could have, like Gyarados, too. But, I just wasn't seeing it in White 1 and in White 2. I know that you can get Azumarill. You can get Azurill early on, and you can get Azumarill, but Azumarill does not interest me. It doesn't. And that was a disappointment, was the water types. I found myself on the 8th gym. It was either right before or right after the 8th gym with a 5 Pokemon team, and I had no Pokemon that can learn Surf, and I was just disappointed. I was disappointed in the water types. This was possibly the best part of the game. If not, it was probably one of the best features of the game. Was a great thing that they kept from Black and White was reusable TMs. This made it so that you didn't have to pick between Pokemon, and you could keep using them. At one point, almost everybody on my team knew Will-O-Wisp, and some of them still do, because it's just a great move that I wouldn't have even considered had it not been a reusable TM. The other one was HMs. You don't need to use HMs in Pokemon Black and White 2, unless you want to get, like, special items. I mean, if you want to get all the TMs, you have to use the HMs. But there was not really a single instant past or up to the 8th gym where I had to use Cut, where I had to use Strength, or where I had to use Surf. And that is really great. Like, one example would be you could use Surf to get to the new island with the 8th gym. I forgot what it is. Hamaloo something. Hamaloo Town, something like that. You could use Surf, or you could use an underground tunnel, or you could just ride your bike. Like, that was amazing for me, that I didn't have to know Surf to keep going. I didn't have to know Cut. When I got Cut, I taught it to a Sawaddle, a level 3 Sawaddle, and put that Sawaddle at the end of my team, because I knew there was going to be some part coming up where I needed to use Cut. I never used it. I never had to use Cut, and then I just dropped the Sawaddle. There was no problems anymore with Cut. And I think that this is a way that they could kind of phase out HMs, But you say, oh, we should be able to forget HMs. It doesn't work that way because the game won't accept you swimming out to the middle of, like, a river or an ocean, fighting a Tentacruel, and you level up. And your Pokemon, like, wants to learn a new move, you say, oh, forget Surf. There would be no way for that game to comprehend that. I mean, I hope you understand what I'm saying here. That you can't forget HMs because they have an effect on the overworld, and without that, your game would essentially crash. Like, if... Surf is the only example I had for that. Flash, well, that's a TM now, so never mind that. But, yeah, HMs won't be forgettable. But I think what they did here was very, very suave and very smart, was that they're there if you want to use them for special stuff. Hey, get out of that bag. They're there if you want to use them to get, like, secret items like PP ups or TMs or anything. So yeah, they did it very well, and I found myself early on being very versatile with TMs and HMs, specifically in Muck, who could learn Strength when I needed him to, when I wanted to get to certain items or to make certain shortcuts, and he could forget Venoshock, which I could reteach him, and then I could teach him Strength, and he could move a boulder for me, and then when I got around to it, I could fly back to the PWT, make him forget Strength, make him relearn Venoshock, and not have to worry about it. Whereas, in older games, you could get really far into Victory Road, and then find out that you have to make one of your Pokemon forget a move, because there would be no point in going back. Another example of this was receiving Waterfall right before Victory Road, and I had taught it to Azurill, and I didn't have to use Waterfall once. That's amazing. That's amazing what they did, and I'm really glad that they did that. Trainer battles improved, definitely. It was just because, in the original game, Black and White, everyone had a Herdier, which I didn't enjoy one bit. Everybody had a Herdier, and then everybody had, what was it? Tranquil, and it was annoying through and through, and it really took away from training in the game. This game got a little bit better. They still had problems with repeating Pokemon, specifically with Team Plasma. I guess I was hoodwinked into thinking that they would have better Pokemon from the trailer, where in the trailer they had, like, Metagross and Klinklang and Muck and all these other Pokemon, whereas when it finally got down to actually battling them in the game, almost all of them had Sevipers and Weezings and, just regular Team Plasma Pokemon. I don't know what I was expecting there, but, yeah, but that's just Team Plasma, whereas it got to most trainer battles, I felt like I saw way too much, what was it? Whatever, the second evolution, with Conquilor on top. I don't know what that guy's called, but let's Google it, why not? I feel like I saw too much of him. So much to the point where I had to Google what type he was. Just because, Conquilor. I didn't understand what he was, because he was holding a steel bar, so I thought maybe he's a steel fight type. I mean, I don't know what he might be. Girder. Girder is what he evolves from. He's holding a steel bar over his head. Let's close that. But, yeah, I saw way too much Girder, and that's just a personal thing, but, other than that, there was great depth with the trainers, and I loved that. The Elite Four was exactly the same from Black and White. I don't think there was any Pokemon change that I didn't notice. The thing I did notice was that they had 4 Pokemon each, which was very weird because they usually have 5, and 4 each made it seem kind of like they were pretty much pushovers. The one that I had problems with was the fight guy. I didn't have any psychic moves, and what I ended up doing was using Drift Blim and minimizing 3 times, and then baton passing, and I baton passed it to Embor, who then was unhittable, so I started bulking him up. I started spamming bulk up, and this is when I started to notice how the game was kind of making up for its lame Elite Four. The Elite Four was very lame. They had 4 Pokemon each, and the trainers right outside the Elite Four had level 55 Pokemon, so I started grinding, thinking that the Elite Four was going to start at 60, possibly 66, or possibly 65, just because of previous games where the trainers before them had weak Pokemon in comparison to the Elite Four themselves. I was very disappointed to find out that the Elite Four hardly fluctuates between 55 and 57. And so what I was doing was minimizing and then baton passing, and then I brought in Embor, who did 8 bulk ups. Or maybe, no. It was 6 bulk ups. Yeah, it couldn't be 8. 6 bulk ups, and then got critted on by a Conkeldurr move, and then got critted on again by a Conkeldurr move. So I brought Drifblim back in, who got critted on 3... Again, this 3 times in a row. Got critted on. And then I brought in Ludicolo, critted on 4 times. Critical hit 4 times in a row. And I saw this trend that whenever I started to get a slight edge on the trainer I was fighting, they would start critical hitting like mad. And I hope that that was just luck and that wasn't a normal thing, because if it was, I'd be very disappointed in that being their way of making the Elite Four hard, is just turning up the critical hit ratio on the opponent's Pokemon. My team consisted of, caught in this order, Embor, Lucario, Electivire, Muck, Drifblim, and Ludicolo, which I traded for. Embor was kind of an interesting way to go, because he originally was going to start out as a Miltank substitute, where he knew Flame Charge, Rollout, Will-O-Wisp, and Bulk or Defense Curl. I was going to spam Defense Curl and then do Rollout, and then I went with the Heart Scale at the Heart Scale Exchanger at the PWT and found out he could learn Hammer Arm, so I went with that over Rollout just because I like Hammer Arm's strength. And then I replaced Defense Curl with Bulk Up, and then I replaced Flame Charge with Flamethrower. I'm waiting. He's at 61 right now. I'm waiting for him to get Flare Blitz, and then I'll put that in there. Next was Lucario, who was my dragon fighter. He knows Aurora Sphere, Close Combat, Sword Dance, and Ice Punch. Ice Punch was probably one of the best moves I had him learn. Early on, I found a move tutor that for 12 red shards, I think it was, or 10 red shards, he could teach Ice Punch to one of my Pokemon. And it was a toss-up between Electivire and Lucario. And I'm very glad I went with Lucario because of the Steel-type advantage over Dragon. And he was the reason I was able to blow through Drayden. And he was the reason that Iris was pretty much a joke, was just because of Lucario. He turned Iris into a joke. She had all Dragon Pokemon except for Aggron and Lapras. And for Aggron, I just did Close Combat because at the beginning I used Sword Dance once, and then I was able to one-shot all of her dragons with Ice Punch, which worked relatively well considering that Mo-Hit, my Lucario, was faster than all of her dragons. Hydreigon was the only one I had a problem with because I led with Drifblim as I did with all of them, so I could minimize and baton pass. I would do that with any battle. I would run as many minimizes as I can and baton pass and get them out of there, just to anybody. I mean, even one minimize makes a difference when it comes to certain moves that are just big hitters but have low accuracy. So he turned Iris into a joke. And I actually didn't have to use my Embor even once in the Elite Four because they're just... the Elite Four in Unova is such a weird typeset. You got Fighting, Psychic, Ghost, and Dark. I think that's... It's not like traditional Elite Fours where you have, like, Rock, Rock, Ice, Dragon. You know, it's just... It's not the same. And I thought it was really disappointing, the Elite Four, when I got to Iris, and I thought it was going to be like the TV show Iris, where she has an extra drill and an Axu and probably not a Dragonite, but she just ended up being a disappointment because she was a pushover, because I had Lucario, and I kind of wonder if that was intentional to get Riolu early on, was because he was an investment. You put time into him and he would pay off way long term when you fought Iris, because he had the perfect type advantage to there. Even though they had ground moves, he had the speed to beat her dragons, which most Pokemon couldn't. And I really don't like it that some of the later games have this thing where they kind of give the game to you. If you can find a way. One example is fighting the first gym with Silin and the Waiters, and they give you a Pokemon to beat your rival with. They give you Simisear or Pansear, or no, Simisage and Pansage and whatever the hell they're called. I didn't like that at all. I also didn't like one of early game examples that most people understand was Lieutenant Surge and getting Dugtrio. That if you looked hard enough in the Diglett Cave, you could pick up a Dugtrio that could beat his Raichu without having to train it. And I thought that was really disappointing, that they kind of give you these cues with these Pokemon right outside the gym towns. There wasn't a whole lot of examples of that. Your rival eventually picks up one of the monkeys, and I didn't know where that was. Most people will think that I'm not getting the most out of the game, but after a while I stopped catching wild Pokemon, and I was more trying to train my own team as it was. And for the longest time, up to the 7th gym, I had a team of 4. That was it. I had Lucario, Emboar, Electabuzz at the time, and Muck. Muck worked very well because of Minimize and Toxic, which I actually wanted to do with my Heart Gold team, but I didn't get around to doing it ever. But that worked really well. It was Minimize, Toxic, and then Venoshock. Another one I put in there, everyone was saying get Acid Armor. I found Substitute to be a way funnier use. You put in Substitute, and then you have Pokemon that try to use Will-O-Wisp or try to use Thunder Wave. I beat a guy I know with that Substitute because I put it in, he used Will-O-Wisp, and that allowed me to get one Minimize in, which then allowed me to win the game. So that was really well orchestrated. There wasn't really much strategy with my other ones. Ludicolo just had Swift Swim, so I gave him Rain Dance and Surf, and he was off to the races on most ones. He knew Ice Beam too, so he was a secondary Dragon counter. Jetsis was a pushover, in my opinion, and that's solely because I beat him with Muck, doing Minimize and Toxic and Venoshock. He wasn't able to hit me after the second turn, and so I just basically blew through all his Pokemon and just Toxic. That's all it took. So, overall, this game was good. I liked it a lot. It kept my attention. It kept coming in with new things. The cutscenes were really cool. The ideas were really cool. I hated that they kept mentioning trainer from 2 years ago. You're a lot like him. I thought that was really dumb and cheesy, but whatever worked for them. I would definitely give this game a 9 out of 10. I liked it. I really did. I liked the Pokemon selection. I would definitely recommend it to a Pokemon fan that is one of those Gen 1ers who thinks that the game ended here, right at the end of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I would definitely recommend this game to them. I think they would enjoy it very much. You can get different Pokemon early on. I mean, if I didn't get Electakid so early on, I probably would have had an Ampharos, but Ampharos always gets backseated to cooler Pokemon. I actually have an Electivire up here. Here's the Electivire guy. I like Electivire. My Electivire knows Volt Switch, which is really a fun one to run when you're fighting your friends. Simply because, they don't see it coming. You hit Volt Switch on a weak Pokemon, bring in somebody who's good against them, and it's fun. Like I said before, my Elite Four MVP would probably be Lucario, but I'm going to go back on that, and I'm going to say my Elite Four MVP was Drifblim. Drifblim definitely made a difference, and Drifblim never attacked. He would run Minimize, survive long enough to run Baton Pass it off to a Pokemon that could get the job done. The only attacking Drifblim did was against the Ghost. And that is because I pulled out... Who was it? I forgot who it was that I brought out to fight the Psychics. No, it was... I did 3 Minimizes and Baton Passed because he kept falling asleep. And I passed him off to Electivire, who I then did Thunder Wave and Thunder Punch with. Because Musharna kept using Hypnosis and Dream Eater, and I just couldn't stand for that shit. So Drifblim only attacked in the Ghost, and he did really well too. And when he got in trouble, I just Baton Passed to Ludicolo, who took out Chandelure for the win. Definitely one of my favorite moments in the game was fighting Drayden, because Lucario was getting murdered by Drayden's Earthquakes attacks. And what had happened was all of my Pokemon had been killed because I found out I had a huge weakness to ground. And this was before I got Ludicolo. That Lucario came in, and I had used Sword Dance. And then Hexorus used Dragon Dance, increased his attack and speed, and then I used Sword Dance. No, I used a Revive, which then I had to revive Muck because I thought Muck had the best ability to take out Hexorus. Hexorus used Dragon Dance again, and by this time he was faster than me by 2 stages. So just for good measure, I used Ice Punch, and somehow Lucario went first before Hexorus. And it was just one of these moments where I was sitting there going, okay, let's start planning for Muck. Let's do Minimize, and then, let's use Toxic after the second minute. Wow, it was just the most amazing thing to see Lucario just kind of beat the odds and Ice Punch Hexorus. And because I had that Sword Dance, it was a one-hit KO. And that was an amazing moment. I was kind of jumping up and down. I was saying to myself, Mohit went first! Mohit went first! And it was just... It was amazing. It really was. And that was a fun moment for me. So yeah, that's how White 2 went for me. I really enjoyed it. I haven't played post-game at all. I had to leave for work as soon as the end credits started rolling. So I'm going to get on that soon in a sec. I definitely recommend it. There's not one thing that I don't recommend about it. It was a great game, and I would definitely play it again. I unlocked easy mode, but I didn't unlock challenge mode, which makes me really disappointed. I don't want to have to play easy mode to get to challenge mode, because that's literally the dumbest thing ever. But, yeah, my chicken is probably soggy. Oh, it is, isn't it? Have some of that. Greasy. So I'm going to eat this chicken before it gets any worse. Great game. Great team. I felt more bonded with this team than I have so far in any of my games. Usually in my games I rely on 1 or 2 Pokemon to get the job done. This was a team that would get the job done as a whole. And I liked that. I liked that I had my trio of big physical guys. My Emboar, my Electivire, and my Lucario, who really wasn't a big physical guy, but he was a good fight Pokemon. And then I had my stat Pokemon with Muck and Drifblim. And then I had just I called him the Foreigner for the longest time, but his name is Fandango. He's my Ludicolo. And he worked just as well. He came in and he made the biggest difference because I needed a grass and a water type, and so what better than Ludicolo? So good game. Good game, Game Freak. You definitely raised the bar in your Pokemon games. Still looking for that Pokemon Stadium 3 for the Wii. That'd be great. All 5 gens on Pokemon Stadium. That'd be really great. Just saying. Pokemon Stadium 3. Thanks for watching.